Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's ceremony in which we honor Senior Master Sergeant Sharon Green's promotion to Chief Master Sergeant. The host for today's ceremony is Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Geck, Professor of Systems Acquisition Management, Defense Acquisition University. Please rise as we welcome our honoree and our host and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Ms. Cheryl Glanville, followed by the invocation given by Staff Sergeant Brown.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together today for this honored occasion. As we gather to celebrate the promotion of Senior Master Sergeant Green to Chief Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, our hearts are filled with happiness for her and her family. You have prepared Senior Master Sergeant Green for this day and blessed her with this special trust. Remembering that to whom much is given, much is required. I ask you to direct her steps and give her the strength to carry out these new responsibilities. As she joins the roughly 1% of the Air Force who hold this rank, endow her with the spirit of wisdom, understanding, and impartiality, so that through her leadership, you might bless our Air Force, our nation, and our world. For the sake of your holy name, amen.
Please be seated. We'd like to offer a special DAU welcome to Senior Master Sergeant Sharon Green's husband, Chief Master Sergeant John Wild, Air Force Civil Engineer, Enlisted Career Field Manager. Her son, Specialist J.D. Green, assigned to 4th Squadron, 2nd Cavalry Regiment, Stryker Systems Maintainer, Vilsig, Germany. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Zoila Restaro, who are joining us virtually today from Louisiana. From Defense Acquisition University, welcome to Mr. Joe Johnson, Chief of Staff, Ms. Meg Hogan-Roy, Director of Human Resources, Captain Michael Hawker, United States Navy Senior Military Advisor and Director, Workflow Learning Directorate, to other chiefs, deans, directors, friends, and coworkers that are here today, a sincere welcome. And finally, welcome to our host, Lieutenant Colonel Geck, who will now make remarks.
All right, that's probably the most applause I'll expect for the next 5 minutes. I want to welcome you all. What a special event and what a special time as we come to the place where we reflect on what has gone in the past and we look forward to what comes in the future. How appropriate that we should celebrate the accomplishments of Staff Sergeant Green in her past career and look with great anticipation to the great things that she will achieve as a Chief Master Sergeant in the future. So, many of you know that it was a little bit of a surprise. All of a sudden, here we are, December, right? And many of you may have had a similar situation. It's Christmas Eve and it's time to go shopping. Maybe we should have started a little earlier. And that means you're left with what's on the shelf. I think Staff Sergeant Green found herself in a similar situation, like, oh no, who's left in town to officiate my ceremony? Although she denies it, so I appreciate that. But let me say, as the son-in-law of a Chief Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, it is a great, great honor. And I want to, of course, welcome Mr. Johnson, Captain Hawker, but especially the chiefs. I recognize that this is a very special club, a very special honor, and I am honored to be part of that. JD, also a special Christmas present that he'd be in town, so Lord works in mysterious ways, what can we say? So as we look at this special opportunity, I'd like to look at it in the context of the main Air Force mission. And what a neat opportunity in today's environment that, you know, part of that Air Force mission, and all the Air Force folks will already know this, although sometimes we call it different things, global vigilance, global reach, and global power, that we could experience a little bit of global reach right here where Mr. and Mrs. Zoilo Rustario can join us when they can't actually be here in presence. Not only are they here in spirit, but they're here virtually. So we appreciate you being part of this ceremony and look forward to that. So as we look at the Air Force core missions and looking at global vigilance, when you look at these core missions, you can't separate one from the other, and you can't separate one career field out and say, well, this career field does this and this career field does that. It's the Air Force family, the Air Force team working together. And who else but personnelists that would do global vigilance in looking at the Air Force's most important asset, their people. So over the course of a career, Staff Sergeant Green has touched over 75,000 people's lives. And this is touching them in things that deal with their promotions, dealing with their personnel records, dealing with their leave, dealing with their family, the things that matter in life, the things that allow us to retain and keep quality people in the Air Force. And in doing so, she was the superintendent of these organizations no more than 8 times, non-commissioned officer in charge no more than 10 times. And as you look over a record, you see things like leader, team member, team builder, mentor, communicator, ambassador, showing this sign of excellence. Not only is she vigilant for the Air Force's greatest asset, but she's excellent in that vigilance, creating a vigilance of excellence. And we see this multiple times as well with this award-winning excellence. In fact, quoted as excellent in all she does, with 2 outstanding inspection records and 4 excellent inspection records, NCO or senior NCO of not the quarter, the year, 5 times, and for all of USAFE, U.S. Air Forces Europe in 2010. Certainly an excellence in vigilance. In fact, the Air Force takes people such as Staff Sergeant Green, and they do something very special with them. They put them in charge of inspections. And in fact, she was in charge multiple times of inspection teams. One of the most outstanding ones, it was the Osan Wing inspection team, where she was quoted as being the best seen wing inspection to date. So it's because of this global vigilance of our people and this excellence of vigilance that the Air Force is able to retain and keep a diverse workforce, which she's also been a champion all the way from the beginning stages as an airman, and make it the global vigilant organization that it is today. But it doesn't just stop there with global vigilance. It also goes to global reach. And Staff Sergeant Green is, in fact, a model of global reach. Being born in Mandaluyong, Philippines, which is just north and east of Manila. She moved to Hawaii in 1992, and then in 1995 had to make the hardest choice of your life, which is to leave a 9-month-old son and go off to basic training and join the Air Force family. Certainly a challenging decision for a mother, but one that was looking at the best overall health of her family in the long term. So, of course, joining this Air Force adventure is going to take her to some of the hottest, swelteringest place in the globe, to one of the most windswept, barren wastelands. And that was just before she got out of the United States. You know, going to Barksdale and F.E. Warren, having grown up 45 minutes away from Cheyenne, I'm very familiar with those windswept plains. But she also went to Europe, suffering horribly for the cause in Mildenhall and Aviano. The vino, I'm sure, caused many an hour of suffering, as well as in Asia. Korea, not once, twice, but 3 times, and Guam and Diego Garcia. She exemplifies this global reach, this global vision in being selected in the Language-Enabled Airman Program, where we send people to be specialists in a certain language, Tagalog being the one that she was chosen in. She was also mobilized or supported the mobilizing in operations, get ready for this list, Kendo Stream, Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, Operation Jukbok Lotus, Operation Desert Thunder, and Operation Southern Watch. Whew. That is a lot of missions that reach globally to take the Air Force mission worldwide. She was taken away from her family so that she could support the safety and support the family members in all those deployments, giving that service to self in achieving that global reach that is the Air Force Core mission. You know, one of the examples, favorite examples that I've seen looking over a record of where she did that is expediting the mobility process of getting civilian passports in Mildenhall. And I don't know if you've ever gotten passports, but it's not necessarily known as a quick process. So she took it from 8 weeks and shortened to, any guesses? I mean, what would be a blazing record for a passport? 3 days. 3 days. And that's the type of excellence that we see as Staff Sergeant Green reached out and performed the mission of global reach for the Air Force. Well, that leads us to our last element of the Air Force mission, which is global power. And she did this in many different ways as a personnelist. One way is that she took warfighters to the fight. In Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation New Dawn, she was responsible for 26,000 records of warfighters, getting them in and out of theater. So if any of you have dealt with personnel stuff, the Air Force has its quirks, but guess what? So does every service. So she not only did this for Air Force folks, she did it for joint folks. But wait, there's more. 20 countries. When you start getting into the international stuff, Now you're dealing with all sorts of things. And to make sure that this went flawlessly to get warfighters in and out of theater, that's what makes global power possible. In supporting Jukbok Lotus after Benghazi, she made sure that 136 airmen were bed down so that Air Force could show that global power to keep folks in Africa at bay from causing more problems. And if you remember the news, we didn't see a lot more problems after Benghazi. So again, that instrument of global power for the Air Force. She also brought global power by maintaining battle readiness. And what better place to do that than the Republic of Korea at Kunsan with the wolf pack of the 8th Fighter Wing, right there on the edge of where we're still at war. And she did so by supporting the Ulchi Freedom Guardian exercise, as well as supporting the premier fighter exercise of Red Flag. And what says global power like nuclear forces? So being at Barksdale with the B-52s, and also at F.E. Warren, where she received an ORI, or supported an ORI Excellent, known or quoted as the best in 5 years of achieving the Air Force Space Command Mikado Award for Operation Support Squadron. So let me provide an aside, because if you notice, these things are space wings. This was in 2007, and if you remember the papers in 2007, F.E. Warren was known for something else, sending nuclear fuses to Taiwan, which means they were under a microscope. I remember being in an ORI during that time frame, and Air Force Space Command was not kind during that time, which makes that achievement all the more admirable because they were out to kill people, especially at F.E. Warren. So that is just a testimony of the excellence that was brought there. One other thing about Barksdale, because you helped mobilize the folks at Barksdale to get B-52s downrange during the first entree into Afghanistan. So I was reading a book on Afghanistan, and it was talking about the Taliban fighters. And these are hardened fighters that fought the Russians, right? And so now they are sitting in there hoping and praying as soon as they see those B-52s that death won't suddenly find them in an explosion. There was such a fear created by the Taliban that when our troops came in, they were already psychologically defeated in many ways. Excuse me. So bringing global power to the fight, yet another way that Staff Sergeant Green has supported the Air Force mission. All right, so as we have looked at bringing global vigilance, bringing global reach and global power, we've explored the past on all the things that Staff Sergeant Green has brought to our Air Force, right? But I'd like to focus on 2 other events in the past. And these events actually change your name forever. One event was in 1995, where then Ms. Green had her first name changed to Mom, and JD was born. And sitting there trying to figure out what she's going to do, she agonizes that to where we see mom and son on the same day taking a test. One is taking the ASVAB, which is the military test that we take to prepare, to figure out what you're going to do and will the military accept you. And one is testing for Chief Master Sergeant. And here we have forwarded again, and we have another name-changing event where now you have a new first name of Chief. And that is no small achievement as well. Because when we join the Air Force changes us. And in return, we have the opportunity to change the Air Force. And here's a young lady born in the Philippines that was a real princess, right? What'd you call it, a campus girl? Translated that as a real girly girl, destined to be the face of high fashion somewhere, right? Diva, a diva, even better. To a leader amongst warriors. And then as we look, I think the favorite quote I had of how Staff Sergeant Green changed countless lives was one from Aviano in 2004, where it says, Staff Sergeant Green was a godsend in a struggling section. Her positive leadership and polished organizational skills quickly transformed evaluations and decorations from a struggling work center to one of the best in the MPF. And that is just a small sampling of how Staff Sergeant Green has changed the Air Force. And we are excited to see how she's going to change the Air Force as a chief under her new first name. Because chiefs are known for their selfless acts. They're known as being the conscience of the Air Force. Chiefs don't put themselves in for awards. That time has passed. They are now looking out for others. And that is exactly the ethic and things that we see, have seen, and will see from Chief Green. And so it is with great anticipation, celebration, and sincerity that we look forward to launching into the new year with one of the Air Force's newest Chief Master Sergeants. And with that, I would like to turn the ceremony back over to our narrator.
Next, we welcome Ms. Meg Hogan-Roy, Director of Human Resources, Defense Acquisition University.
Just a little bit longer. It is my pleasure to have a few minutes today just to talk about the personal side of Sharon Green and what I've known of her. I've been here at DAU since 2000, and I've had the privilege of having a number of E7s and E8s work for me in DAU. And often there's a bit of a lag between, and you kind of wait with anticipation about what this next person is going to be like. Well, let me tell you, she was a spitfire from day one. She's been wonderful, a great teammate, a great leader. So I just want to mention just a few things. About a year ago, I listened to a great speaker talk about what real leadership is, and said there's three qualities. There's credibility. Credibility you establish by coming in and doing, not from your resume, not from your talk, but what you do. So the first thing, or some of the first things that happened is, I started to say Colonel. Captain Hawker gave her a challenge. And it may seem minor to you, but for all of our Navy officers here at DAU, whenever there's drug testing, they've had to go all the way into the city, into the Navy Yard or the Navy Annex. And because we don't have a lot of Navy officers, it was happening frequently. So in the past, I had others try to get the Navy to agree to do it locally. It's not like there aren't facilities around here. So she came and told me what Captain Hawker had asked her to do, and I started to smile. Because I've been here since 2000, and I've known how many people tried before her to accomplish this, and the answer was consistently no. But she did it. Now that does sound minor, but it gives you just an example of the type of fight and drive she has to do the right thing and make life easier for people. We also gave her the task of something that hadn't been happening well, and that's a good records management. And she took that on this year throughout the enterprise. She is training, writing the directives, and pushing hard. And that's among all the other things she does, because we are a joint group. We don't have very many Army, but we do have both Navy and Air Force. And so she's had to learn to speak at least both of those languages, and it's not easy, because they are, as Colonel Geck said, very different. The next thing you have to have is courage. Courage to make the right decision. And what I have found over her time with me is that she has not been afraid to come in and say, ma'am, I think you ought to reconsider. And probably 98% of the time, she was right. She was right. But she does have the courage, and I know she will do that into the future and in very important assignments. And the last thing is compassion. You really have to care about the people. You don't have to like them, but you do have to care. You really have to care about the people that are working for you, that are depending on you, that are working with you. And every year, without fail, Sharon has picked up anything that's happened that she can volunteer for. The food bank, the diversity day, working with the holiday party here, anything she could do. But the other part of it is every person who's ever had to walk into her office, she has gotten up and greeted and done anything she could to help them. So I see Sharon going into the future as a great leader, and it is certainly my great pleasure that during my career, I have been able to be at the promotion of the first senior master sergeant to win the honor of being chief in my time. Thank you, and good luck.
Next, we will promote Senior Master Sergeant Green to the rank of Chief Master Sergeant. The rank of Chief Master Sergeant was established by Congress in 1958, and the ceiling was set at 1% of the enlisted force. In December 1959, 1,700 men were the first to be promoted to this new grade. These airmen were leaders who possessed the unique talents and displayed the personal characteristics required to manage Air Force people and programs. There are currently 2,488 Chief Master Sergeants in the Air Force. Today, we will add Senior Master Sergeant Sharon Green to that number. She has shown the potential for increased responsibility and that she possesses the attributes needed to be a chief. After today, she will be known as Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publishing of the order. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has placed special trust in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Senior Master Sergeant Sharon Green. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the highest enlisted grade, Senior Master Sergeant Green is promoted to Chief Master Sergeant effective the first day of January 2017 by the order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Please be seated. Chief Master Sergeant Green's husband, Chief Wild, and her son, Specialist Green, will now pin on the new insignia. Lieutenant Colonel Brad Mooney will now swear in Chief Master Sergeant Green to reaffirm her oath of enlistment.
I'm going to test the mic. I just wanted to say, I'm going off script, ladies. As a prior enlisted guy myself, there's not a higher honor I've done in my career. So this means a lot that she chose me. So thanks for that. And I am going to cheat. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sharon Green,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and obey the orders of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers appointed over me,
and the orders of the officers appointed over me,
according to regulations
according to regulation
and Uniform Code of Military Justice.
and Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
Help me God.
Congratulations to you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, John. And I want to picture.
To commemorate this memorable occasion, Chief Wild will now come forward and read the chief's charge.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Mic check, 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 check. So I want to go off script a little bit as well, if I can, and capitalize on what Colonel Geck and Miss Meg said. So first off, whenever somebody gets the opportunity to come up on stage and talk in front of a group of people, it's a little nervous, right? You get a little nervous, kind of shake a little bit. But, so in that vein, I want to talk about myself. So can we talk about me for you? So been in the Air Force for about 28 years, and a few decades ago, I went to Lackland Air Force Base in basic training and was a military training instructor. So in Army lingo, I was a drill instructor, so putting airmen through basic training. And one of the things that I had to do for my airmen is to train them how to wear the uniform and to know their memory work. So Colonel Geck, describe for me what a Senior Master Sergeant chevron looks like. Come on.
2 rockers up high.
So-
Stripe,
Yeah, with a star in the center.
star in the center.
So what did he say throughout his whole thing? So we're not going to make fun of him, right? It's a little tough, right? Senior Master Sergeant Green, Staff Sergeant Green. Oh. Yeah, so enough about me. What's that? Yes, sir. So anyways, enough about me. So in the script, we heard a lot of cool things about the 1%, right? And what it means to actually get promoted to Chief Master Sergeant E9 in the Air Force. So it's a low number, and it's a cool number. And with that number comes a lot of responsibility. But put yourself with an enlisted perspective. Now you're a young American, and you decide to serve your country, and you enlist in the armed services. And in the Air Force, say you decide to come into the Air Force. In the Air Force, an average flight of airmen is roughly around 47 airmen. So here you are, either marching in your flight or sitting in the day room learning something, and you will probably not get promoted to chief. You nor the airmen in your flight with you. That's a tough pill to swallow. And we tell the airmen when they enlist of how difficult it is to make chief. You got to double that number to actually get to a point where you would have an average chance of being selected to the top enlisted stripe. So with that, it says a lot about you that you've been selected. It says a lot about your character. You should be proud of yourself, as we all are proud of you. So everybody's got a story. Colonel Geck alluded to hers. Born and bred in the Philippines. Tagalog is her native tongue. Graduates high school, starts college, and through school she's learning bits and pieces of English. English is her second language. She leaves at the age of 20 to Hawaii, just under 4 years later, with a baby, 9 months, decides to serve her new country. That's pretty impressive. Leaves the family, and the rest of your career is history, and look at you now. I was talking to the protocol ladies a little bit earlier this morning, and we're like, oh my God, this just happened. It was just 3 weeks ago that we found out that she made chief. 3 weeks ago. Her line number is 39, and the Air Force promoted 50 senior master sergeants on 1 January. So I don't know about you, but usually when you think about those airmen, whether officer enlisted, who are the first month promotion, what do you think? Like they're old. I mean, look at her. She looks pretty good. So how did she get such a low line number? It really, again, is a testimony to, again, capitalizing on Colonel Geck and Miss Meg on the type of airman that she's been, the type of career airman she's been. Her line number was so low because she was one of the ranking senior master sergeants in her career field. What that means is she made senior, which is probably the hardest Air Force enlisted rank to make, at 16 years, 4 years below the average. She made master quick, she made tech quick, she obviously made staff sergeant quick. So the earliest an airman could sew on chief is 14 years. I don't know too many commanders that would want a 14-year chief master sergeant by their side, guiding them, giving them advice. So congratulations, Chief Green, that the Air Force slowed you down. I'm sure you would have been a great chief at 16, but I think we all agree you're going to be an awesome chief at just over 20. Okay? So you ready? So I'm going to read her the chief's charge. And the chief's charge is just a skosh bit different than the oath of enlistment because she's not going to repeat it. I'm going to read it to her because as I read it to her, I want her to hear it, I want her to absorb it, and identify with her the type of chief that she is going to be. Ready? So if I could have all the chiefs in the audience, please stand. Chief Master Sergeants are individually to be regarded as people who cannot be bought, whose word is their bond, who put character above wealth, who possess opinions and will. People who will not lose their individuality in a crowd, who do not hesitate to take chances, who will be as honest in the small things as in the great ones, who will make no compromise with wrong. They are people whose ambitions are not confined to their own selfish desires or interests. They are people who are true to their friends through the good rapport, evil rapport, in adversity, as well as prosperity. Who do not believe that shrewdness, cunning, hard-headedness are the best qualities of winning success. They are people who are not ashamed or afraid to stand for the truth when it is unpopular. Who can say no with an emphasis, although the world is saying yes, and promote the highest standards of integrity, service before self, and excellence in all that they do. Chief Green, are you ready to be a chief?
I am.
You are.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce my friend, Chief Master Sergeant Sharon Green, who will now make remarks.
Whew. I need to get my cheat sheet. And this. Wow, great showing. I wasn't really expecting this, especially on the holiday week. So everybody, thank you so much for being here today. First, I would like to recognize our distinguished guests, Mr. Johnson, Captain Hawker, Meg, Deans and Director, and Chiefs. Thank you for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule to celebrate with me. Please bear with me as I have a few people that I would like to thank for making this event as special as it is. Well, first, I would like to recognize my parents, who's FaceTiming with me right now, so I can send them to bed, literally. Because my parents work night shift. So they work all night and actually just stayed up so that they can join me virtually. Ma, Pa, are you still awake? Yes? Good. Well, I just want to let you know, I just want to thank you guys for all your love and support and guidance throughout the years. And God only knows where I would have been if you guys did not steer me to the right. I love you with all my heart, and thank you so much for everything. Now go back to bed. Seriously, I will chat with you later. You need to get some rest because you have to work again tonight. Thank you. Love you. Did he say bye? Colonel Geck, thank you so much for those kind words. He didn't really have to do all that, but he did, and I'd like to thank you for that. Colonel Geck is my go-to Air Force officer. Whenever I needed an Air Force officer's signature, either for myself or for his fellow officer, I go to him. So it's just normal for me to go to him on this special occasion, right? So, sir, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. All right. Meg, thank you for those kind words also. Thank you for your friendship and your mentorship, professionally and personally. It is nice to have a leader that I know that I can go to when the going gets tough. Thank you for seeing me through my hard times. And that goes to you too, Damon. Thanks. And for the rest of my HR family, thank you for being here. Special thanks to my petty officer, Martin. If I haven't told you lately how much I appreciate you, well, shame on me, because I do appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you do for the Team DAU. Thank you. Protocol ladies, Karen, Barb, Kim, thank you guys so much. I work with these ladies quite a few times, and I see them always stressed out. So I always tell Karen, stop stressing. Now that I'm here, I understand now why you're so stressed. Because you're actually taking the stress out of us. So thank you guys for putting this together. Cheryl, where's Cheryl? Cheryl, thank you for that awesome rendition of National Anthem. Thank you so much. She wanted me to tell you guys that this one is a freebie, because the next time if you want to book her, it's going to cost you $9.99 a song, right? So I got lucky. Thank you. Sergeant Brown, thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it. Sergeant Brown is new here at DAU, but I can already tell that she will do good things for DAU. Thank you so much. Sergeant Ford, of course, my friend. Thank you, girl. I love you. Thank you for emceeing. And I hope to see your name next year, but I'm pretty sure if you would not ask me to be your MC, they would not understand the words that's coming out of my mouth. Thank you, girl. I love you. One thing I love about serving in the military is that you don't have to have a lifetime to find good friends. And I do have some pretty good friends here with us today. Senior Master Sergeant Perez, Fredo, Blanca, his wife, Master Sergeant Asuelo, Kiki, where are you? Kiki, Lynn, Cliff, Jane, Major Jane. Thank you guys for being here. These are the people that I go to if I need some type of family support. So thank you guys, we love you. When Colonel Mooney had me reaffirm my oath of enlistment, I can't help but to look back on the first time that I have to take my oath of enlistment back at the MEP station in Hawaii. So here I was, brand new recruit in my civilian clothes, and this captain was reading the oath to me. Quite frankly, I don't know what he was saying. As a matter of fact, I remember interrupting him a few times and asking him to repeat what he said so I can repeat it. So after the oath, he turned to me and he asked me, so what are you going to do in the Air Force? So I'm still standing at attention, and I said, I'm going to do my very best, sir. And then he chuckled, and he said, no, I mean, what is your job going to be in the Air Force? Kind of got awkward after that. But 21 years later, here I am, with a full understanding of what that oath is. If you ask me the same question, the answer is still the same. I am going to do my very best, sir, ma'am. Only now that I will be serving it side by side with my brothers in arms, Specialist J.D. Green, AKA my pride and joy, Chief Master Sergeant John Wild, AKA the love of my life. You like that? Love of my life. So thank you both for being here. You just made this very special. I love you both, and I'm truly looking forward to this new journey with you. Again, thanks everybody for coming, and Happy New Year.
On behalf of the Defense Acquisition University, a heartfelt congratulations to Chief Master Sergeant Green and her family. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. At the conclusion of the Air Force song and departure of the official party, please congratulate our newest promotee in the Hearst Center for Receiving Line. Then we invite you to enjoy refreshments.